What's up, nightmare neutralizers? If you're brave enough to delve into the darkest corners of reality, where the veil separating our world from unspeakable horrors is torn asunder, then buckle up. Tonight, we're cracking open Pandora's box of visceral, real-life terror that will make you question every creak, shadow, and strange sound for months to come. I'm talking about authentic tales so disturbing, so paralyzing in their gut-punching authenticity, that the only thing more terrifying is having to live through them yourself. Tales where a mother's protective love becomes the last bastion of sanity against oblivion itself. So dim those lights, lock those doors, and prepare to have your nerves utterly shredded by the top 5 scariest true horror stories where maternal instincts went to war with forces humanity was never meant to witness. As a new parent, even your baby's faintest sounds trigger frantic worry over any potential threat, right? Well, just wait until you hear how Becca's motherly defense was put to the ultimate supernatural test one night, when her daughter's blood-curdling scream sent her sprinting into a waking nightmare. Becca was an admittedly unprepared new mom whose baby monitor could never have braced her for the satanic chaos about to breach her home's sanctuary. Like most nights, she was in a deep slumber until a shrill, terrified wail jolted her awake in sheer panic. Throwing off the covers, I sprinted down the hall praying I'd find her safe in her crib, Becca grimly recalls, dread still gripping her voice. But when I threw open that nursery door, my soul left my body. There in the dimly lit nursery, Becca's precious baby was nowhere to be seen, her tiny crib sitting hauntingly empty amid a thick, swirling supernatural mist. A bone-chilling giggle then echoed from the corner shadows. Frantically scanning with shaking hands, Becca finally spotted her. The helpless infant surrounded by an undulating pool of jet-black ooze, unlike anything of this world. Out of that black ooze, these things started rising up, Becca stammers, haunted tears welling, twisting, oozing shapes like scorched skeletons clawing their way upright with sharpened bone fingers, all leering toward my tiny baby with hollow sockets. That's when she just smiled and giggled at them, like they were her new playmates. In that moment of sheer cosmic dread, Becca was paralyzed until her primal mama bear instincts roared deafeningly to life. Letting out a guttural scream, she scooped up her baby and blasted back through the hallway, feeling those tar-colored tendrils lashing at her heels every step of the way. Spines tingling yet? Well, brace yourselves, because that unholy experience was just an ominous taste of the supernatural terrors still to come. Keep watching if you dare. Have you ever had that panicked feeling, that inescapable doubt you're not as alone as you think, like some sinister presence is lurking just out of sight? Well, Vanessa and her daughter's cozy new home turned into a waking nightmare when they realized too late they weren't alone. At first, it was just little things that seemed odd but dismissible, faint footsteps with no source, lights flickering, and strange nighttime noises. But then cherished belongings started disappearing, only to reappear days later in bizarre places, like their antique clock turning up in the attic crawlspace. An ominous pattern was taking shape. The breaking point came when Vanessa's youngest, Lily, burst into her bedroom one night wailing inconsolably. The tall man was watching me from the attic doorway. In that moment, Vanessa transformed from mother to a ferocious, protective force. Grabbing a fireplace poker, she stormed toward the rickety attic door, protective wrath consuming her being. Flinging it open, she came face to face with nothing but a musty crawl space, or so it seemed, until a floorboard creaked behind her. Whipping around, Vanessa caught a glimpse of something utterly inhuman, a towering silhouette, backlit arms seeming to bend backward unnaturally before jolting out of sight down the hall. Fueled by primal fury, she gave chase just as the bedroom doors began violently slamming off their hinges around her. I know, I'd be trembling in sweaty terror too at that point, but just wait, because these true horror encounters are about to blow that haunted attic story out of the nightmarish waters. Stick around and prepare to be utterly shook to your core. Also, If bathing in sheer existential dread sounds like your idea of a twisted good time, be sure to crush that subscribe button to join my nightmare familia and immerse yourself in even more real-life horror experiences that'll scar your soul. When you're nestled away camping in nature's tranquil splendor, the last thing you'd expect is to be hunted by primal evil itself. But for Jen and her family, that peaceful weekend quickly descended into a nightmarish realm of cosmic terror. Imagine this: you're sound asleep under a canopy of stars, lulled by the gentle symphony of crickets and a crackling campfire. Pure serenity, right? Until piercing screams shatter that peace, jolting your eyes open to the panic of your kids huddled in fright. Following their haunted stares toward the pitch-black tree-line reveals your youngest sleepwalking in an eerie trance, wandering zombie-like deeper into that inky, foreboding abyss. In that moment, Jen was consumed by every parent's worst fears. Was her precious daughter possessed, being lured away by a sadistic predator? Or far more sinisterly, a malicious supernatural entity hellbent on claiming her innocent soul? Either way, she had no choice but to chase after Lacey into that impenetrable forest of shadows. Following her daughter's white gown bobbing between twisted trunks and gnarled bushes with knife and flashlight brandished, Jen finally caught up, only to make the most chilling discovery of all. There in a moonlit clearing sat Lacey, calmly drawing figures in the dirt as dozens of worm-like creatures with human-like baby skulls wriggled free from the surrounding earth, opening gnarled maws filled with metallic fangs. Jen's primordial screams scattered the ungodly swarm as she swept up Lacey. But one creature caught her pants leg, bearing rows of hideous teeth until Jen's boyfriend bashed it repeatedly with an improvised branch. Then they ran, sprinting until they reached the forest's edge without stopping for hours, changing vehicles and covering their tracks in case that sinister brood gave chase into the night. I don't know about you, but just imagining being trapped in that dank woodland surrounded by those soulless, wriggling things makes my skin crawl like you wouldn't believe. If you were in Jen's shoes, could you maintain your composure to protect your kids? Let me know in the comments below. Having a massive cornfield surrounding your home sounds idyllic, doesn't it? A rustic taste of rural Americana, watching those swaying amber waves shimmer in the sun's glow. Until the grim day comes when you realize something unholy is lurking within those stalks, patiently biding its time to strike. For the Henderson family, their summer on that picturesque Illinois farm quickly devolved into a sustained carnival of terror. More and more sightings of a towering, amorphous black figure peering through the corn stalks begin cropping up from the entire family. Strange handprints manifested on the basement walls, and the kids were tormented by guttural night terrors of the Watcher coming for them. Even Dad Dan had a harrowing encounter when venturing into the fields one evening. He spotted an unnatural silhouette rapidly gliding between the dense rows before unnatural howls and growls reverberated from every direction, leaving him lost and disoriented until sunrise. But the paranormal onslaught reached a fever pitch the night their home security cameras captured. Something the Hendersons still can't unsee, a tear in the fabric of reality itself. In the black and white footage, Dan enters one of the cornfields only for the camera's vision to become subsumed in thick static snow. When the picture regains clarity, something utterly ineffable has taken his place. A roiling, amorphous vortex of inky black smoke and shadows violently twisting amid the corn rows before dissipating entirely. After that, Tracy knew this primordial evil had to be stopped, no matter what sacrifice it took. The next blazing morning, after another sleepless night, she grabbed an ancient ritualistic dagger passed down from her Cherokee ancestors and ventured alone into the ominous cornfields. According to legend, the scorching blade could banish any unholy entity back to the abyss, if you were willing to pay the ultimate price. Let's just say the Hendersons never encountered the Watcher again after that fateful day, though some wonder if it truly left, still lying in wait. The idea of some ancient supernatural force lurking in those isolated crops, toying with your family before potentially striking, it taps into our primal fears of the unknown, doesn't it? Makes you want to avert your eyes from every cornfield from here on out. But what would you have done to protect your loved ones from that malicious entity? Would you have the nerves to venture into its lair and confront it directly? Or would sheer self-preservation take over? Let me know in the comments. And if consuming these true tales of cosmic terror from the comfort of your home strikes some sadistic fancy, do the world a favor and subscribe to this channel. That little click is enormously appreciated and ensures we can keep unfurling these hair-raising true horror experiences. Let's descend together into the abyss, shall we? As twilight fades and the moon's glimmer dances across the night-cloaked lake, you'd think there could be no purer peace, no safer haven to enjoy life's simple pleasures. That is, until the tranquil surface is shattered by ungodly shrieks tearing through the darkness, announcing the arrival of something far older and fouler than humanity's nightmares themselves. For the Collins family, their weekend trip to an isolated Canadian lake house was supposed to be a relaxing chance to unplug from the stresses of modern life and reconnect with each other amid nature's majesty. Instead, they found themselves absolutely defenseless against an insidious evil. I awoke that first night to unholy wailing shaking the cabin's very foundations. Mother Diane shakily recalls through dread-filled tears. It sounded like someone being flayed alive just past the shoreline. Before I could process what was happening, our youngest Caleb came bolting down the hallway in a frenzied trance. Eyes rolled back as he growled, "It wants to peel off my skin, make me a new body." Within moments, the family's peaceful getaway plunged into sheer primordial chaos. Diane and husband Martin watched in abject horror as an impenetrable black fog rapidly flooded the cabin. A cacophony of anguished roars and demonic screeches assaulting their senses from every direction. Blasts of bitter, sulfuric wind whipped their belongings into a swirling vortex as the walls buckled under the onslaught of some unholy force. Then, amid that cyclone of pandemonium, they appeared, a mass of twitching, reanimated shadows and skeletal picture-like figures slithered forth, coalescing into one towering, hellish amalgam centered on young Caleb. Its Lovecraftian maw opened in a shrill, reverberating scream that made Diane's nose gush with blood even as unholy tongues and veiny tendrils seeped from its fanged orifice. Locking its sights on her petrified son, the abomination started lurching forward, in that moment facing oblivion itself. Maternal instinct overrode all reason and pleas for mercy. Scooping up her children while shielding their eyes, Diane grabbed Martin and an ancient tomahawk, hacking through the tormenting spirits infesting their only escape route, a path that seemed to supernaturally recoil at their every step. With every ounce of life force they could muster, the Collins clan burst through the possessed cabin's front door in a spray of blood, splinters, and inhuman shrieks. Fighting through the possessed woodlands beyond, they didn't stop fleeing until civilization's artificial lights illuminated their path once more. To this day, that dreaded Ontario lake house sits desolate and decrepit, any attempt to rebuild thwarted by those brave enough to try succumbing to violent hallucinations and a sense of being watched by something sinister lurking just beneath the surface. An unholy scar on the landscape, a reminder that some evils were never meant to be trifled with. Whether you believe these harrowing accounts of cosmic terror or not, one thing is undeniable: the ferocious, boundless power of a mother's love when her children's souls are threatened by the darkest of forces. It's both inspiring and bone-chilling. So get ready to defy the rules of everything you think you know about reality's fabric. Throw open the gates to terror's most unimaginable. Embrace that uncanny prickle of existential dread, and never ignore that sense of being watched when you're alone again. To witness the dramatic, nightmarish climaxes to each of these real-life horror stories firsthand in utterly unshakable detail, binge the other video now by clicking the link. If you made it this far without cowering under your covers, consider joining my Nightmare Familia by subscribing and leaving a comment about which of these cosmic horror tales disturbed you most. Together, we'll continue boldly shattering the barriers of fear itself. And remember, while the veil separating reality from unknown terror may seem impenetrable, sometimes it's humanity's undying spirit of love and sacrifice that proves thinner still. Confront your fears, and the only way becomes through.